Welcome to the Truth Corner. My name is Kama Burton with Loving Me First, and today's session is I Am the One to Blame. But I want to tell you something. It ain't your fault. A lot of times we go through situations such as domestic violence, and the first thing we want to do is start pointing the fingers to ourselves. For years, I started questioning myself, asking myself why. What did I do? What did I say? How can I do things differently? And it haunted me for a very long time. I kept blaming myself. And I want to encourage you just off the bat to let you know that it's not your fault. Stop taking on extra stress, sleepless nights, because you're pointing the finger at yourself because of somebody else's insecurities. I remember trying to do all that I could to help my household, help my ex-husband, make my family the best that I could make it, to the point it was driving me nuts. Because I was doing more than what I would normally do, because I just wanted to get the attention of my husband. I wanted him to pay attention and to love me for who I was, not who he had created me to be in his head. I always say if I had any kind of movie title to my life, it'll be called Sleeping with the Enemy, because that's how I felt. I felt like I was sleeping with the enemy, someone who was supposed to protect me, somebody who was supposed to be my provider, ended up being the person that I had to get protection from, and I had to protect myself from, and being that person that I had to provide for. So the roles reversed. I truly believe that a man should be the protector and the provider. Not saying that I don't have to work, or I just sit at home and with rollers and do nothing, or just take care of the kids. But at the end of the day, I don't care if we're in a 1-bedroom, 1-bath house and we're together and we're happy. He should be the protector and the provider of his household. Well, I ended up being just that. Not only was I the protector, I was the provider, working. He came to a point where he didn't want to pay the bills anymore. I remember he got mad at me one time and he told me, he said, yeah, from this point on, you pay the bills. And he stopped paying the bills from that point on, and it was years. I was responsible for everything. He was able to keep money in his pocket and also dig into my pocket. So I became the sole breadwinner in the house. And I started questioning myself and asking, what did I do wrong? Well, first of all, one of the things that I did wrong was I was disobedient. Now, I want to be very clear. I believe I was given warning, not being punished for what I did. As far as marrying him, I remember praying one time. I was praying in the spirit. I was crying out to the Lord, apologizing for being disobedient. The next day, my aunt called me and she said, I just want to let you know I was praying this morning and the Lord wanted me to let you know that He's giving you a way out and that it's not your fault. And it was amazing to me because I was like, wait a second, like I'm in Riverside, she's in Inglewood, I'm praying to the Lord, but He's telling her what's going on. And it gave me at that point a little confidence. It let me know that this was the start of me getting myself together to end this relationship, because I was tired. I was dog tired. And so I started looking at things just a little differently. I remember him and we had a argument. We were arguing over the dumbest stuff in the world. I'm sure if there's any married couples out here that are listening, or anybody in a relationship, we can argue over stupid stuff, right? We were literally arguing over like a taco pack. It was something about whether it was 1 or 2 pack. It was something so minimal that we were like, we even said, what are we arguing for? We really arguing over a taco pack? Like, it was just that crazy. But then there were some more things where he would just blame me for things. I can't even recall what he blamed me for specifically because it's been so much. But his anger, let's start with that. he was mad at me. Well, if you didn't say this, then I wouldn't react this way. I honestly never got an apology from him. He never said, I'm sorry. And I'll tell you, I respect him for that because I know he was not sorry. But what I had to do was kind of look deep inside inside of me and start asking myself questions. Okay, what did you do? What didn't you do? What could you have done? And when I look back even today, I realize I did everything that I could in my known power to be the best wife and the best mother that I could have been. But the problem was I was fighting with somebody else's insecurity. He was insecure with who he was. He was insecure with, I guess, the way he looked. I don't know what he was insecure about, because one thing about me, when I love hard. Like when I love somebody, it's him and only him. I don't see nobody else. I don't care how fine they are, like Ice Cube, because I love him and he is fine to me. But that's Ice Cube. But for him, I didn't see him as like, oh, but if I had I didn't see him as that. What I seen was my husband for who he was. He had all of me. When I say he had all of me, he had all of me. Mind, body, and soul. He had all of me. But he didn't get that. So when he would take his anger out on me physically and put his hands on me physically, the slaps, the pinches, when he socked me, when he fought me, when he would do all of this, I would question, well, what did I do? But I realized it wasn't my fault. There was some major internal things that he was dealing with, but I was just the person that was in his way. So I want to more encourage you today to start looking like deep inside you. Stop questioning yourself as to, well, why is he doing this to me? Well, what can I do to do better? It's not you. It's something deep inside him that's controlling him, that's making him do the things that he's doing to you. Don't blame yourself. You are not the one to blame. When people feel like they can put their hands on you and hurt you physically, if you can get up and go. Believe them the first time. Statistics state that 1 out of 4 women has or will deal with domestic violence physically in their lifetime. We got to change those numbers. It shouldn't be that many. 1 out of 5 high school girls have dealt with or have dealt with domestic violence and reported it. A lot of them haven't reported it because they feel like, well, it's because I said this to him, and well, I was in his face and I was doing all this and that, and he was just protecting himself against me. This big old man protecting himself against who? Don't blame yourself, because that's hard to deal with in itself. That's where depression seeps in. You find yourself sleeping all day, every day, because you're trying to sleep away your troubles and sleep away your problems, because you're trying to figure out how can you make this person better. You give him everything. You give him yourself. You give him your money. You give him your time. You give him your energy. You give him everything, but it's still not enough. So really think about this. Are you the one to blame? Is it really your fault? Just think about that. Take time for yourself. Self-care is so important. I don't care if you have to go to the nail shop and go get your feet done and just sit and relax. Whatever, go to the park, walk around. Really start digging deep within yourself and find out whose fault is it really. You're not to blame for somebody else's actions. I don't care what you said. I don't care how you offended them. You are not to blame for their actions. But that's what kept me down for probably too long. Now, I want to be clear with something. When you fall in love with somebody, it's very hard to get out, okay? So I understand that. I'm not telling you to get up and leave right the second. If I could, I would. But I know statistics say that it takes 7 times for somebody to leave a situation before they're gone for good. And I am a witness to that. So I know and I understand. But when you start digging deep and start looking deeper and start asking yourself those questions, I guarantee you it's going to be that much easier for you to get up and go find who you are, to go find yourself. This is my truth.